Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of Jake Talks Star Wars, and today we are continuing our discussions on Star Wars Visions. We're looking at Volume 3, Episode 6, The Lost Ones, today. This is a continuation of The Village Bride that we saw in Volume 1. So we're having a continuation of that, and it's an interesting story. I'm not so sure about this one either. I liked it overall, but it took away some of the elements I think that made the original version, Village Bride, so interesting. I do love the fact that we see our Jedi in her Z95 Headhunter once again. I love that the Z95 Headhunter is getting some love outside of episodes of the Clone Wars. That proto X-Wing starfighter I think is so cool. I love it. So I'm glad that we're getting to see more of that. But the planet she finds herself on is really interesting. The visuals of the planet, it looks like some European setting, almost like a European, like a Mediterranean European style setting, which is really neat. I love how, you're watching this and it looks like a setting on Earth, right? Which is good, which is important because, like, even if you look at like even the prequels, right? You look at these, like Naboo is Italy, for all intents and purposes. So it's very interesting to see them do something similar, where it's like basically, this is just a setting on Earth with very similar architecture to Earth, and so that was really interesting. But you see these scavengers kind of running around on this planet. It's like abandoned, and we kind of learn more about it. Now, I did forget the spoiler warning, so we're 2 minutes in, but I don't think I've given away too much. There is a spoiler warning here, so make sure if you're not wanting spoilers to tune out now, go watch it and then come back. That being said, we learn about these scavengers. We learn about the planet. And the planet is a source of carbonite. And there's like carbonite that they've been harvesting. They've been mining. But apparently there was some sort of accident, and they've released like storms of carbonite, like because of their mining methods and things like that. Carbonite has been released in these like storms, and it freezes everything it touches, right? Wildlife, humans, sentient life. It freezes it, and it, the connotation is that they're killed. They're not frozen in suspended animation. That they're killed, and it's almost like Pompeii. It reminds me of like when you see these figures in Pompeii that are kind of encased, or not encased, but that are like cast out of the ash and things. Again, very interesting stuff. So it's an interesting take on the kind of emergency that could push people away off of a planet in this setting. And they're living in a ship. Like all these refugees are living in a ship off the in orbit around the planet. And there is this massive, huge Mon Calamari looking ship. I'm not sure if it is a Mon Calamari ship, but it's this huge ship, and they're living in it as refugees. And they're not getting help from the Empire, right? They keep saying, oh, the Empire will help us and this and that, because, that's the government of the galaxy, right? That's who they're hoping will come help them. But they're not. And the Jedi encounters them, and they have these interactions, and it turns out she knows some of the main people who are on this planet, and she's taking refuge on the refugee ship for a while. They're trying to get her to stay, I think, but she's not really into that. But then we get to the episode itself, not the episode itself, but we get to the main confrontation here. And the main confrontation is the Empire shows up, and they're after the Jedi. They are after the Jedi, and it turns out the person who is after them is another Force user. They're not really clear on what she is, or what this Force user is, or what they are, or what they do, but they are the master of the Jedi, the former master of the Jedi. And I think they're meant to be like an Inquisitor at this point. Um, but they've definitely turned to the dark side. They're definitely working with the Empire. So I think it's meant to be like an Inquisitor, like a Jedi turned to the Inquisitorius. And so the Jedi is brought onto the ship, and she is held prisoner. And they bring her onto this deck, which is almost like the holodeck. It's almost like a Star Trek style holodeck where she's confronting her old master, and they end up fighting. They end up having this battle amongst themselves. The Jedi is barely victorious, and then she's rescued by the refugees because the refugees decided to attack the Star Destroyer and set off a carbonite bomb, basically turning everything on the Star Destroyer into carbonite, which is really neat, right? This is something we haven't seen before. Something like this ad hoc idea of like how dangerous these chemicals could be in the wrong settings, or not chemicals, but how dangerous these substances could be in the wrong settings. So it's a really interesting idea, and it's a really interesting take on this stuff. So I really liked that. And seeing the duel between the two characters, between the Jedi and her former master, that was really interesting. How she kind of is able to win, but not really. I mean, it's like a Pyrrhic victory. She loses everything to try and win, and even then, I think she's only rescued by circumstance, right? So that's interesting. But she finds her way back onto the ship with the refugees and kind of rides off into the sunset. So I liked episode 6 a lot, but like I said earlier, it's neat, but we get more of the story of the Jedi. But what made The Village Bride so cool is that this Jedi was just kind of showing up, doing good, and then piecing out, right? So now we're getting more of her and more of what she's wanting to do, but it's it takes the story in a different direction than what I think we were getting. I mean, because the first Village Bride was almost kind of like a light side Ronin. Like, she showed up, she did good, she's out. Now we're getting more in depth with her story. I mean, kind of the same with the Ronin, I guess, in the second episode of the duel. But we'll see. But it was good. I liked it a lot. It's growing on me. The more I talk about it, and the more I kind of work it and working around in my brain, it's growing on me a little bit. But definitely worth checking out, just like the rest of Visions. And yeah, we get some lightsaber action too, which is always a lot of fun. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And as usual, take care of each other out there. And may the Force be with you. Bye-bye.